Today, beyond the wall, they know how much more they can lose. In a moment, I will give you some hard figures as to how little exactly the East German receives for his labor in food, clothing, housing, as compared to his brother in West Germany. If Karl Marx was right, that revolution begins in the stomach, then time is running against them in East Germany. The heroism and dedication that once the communists enlisted in their own cause is now turning against them. I do not claim the East German worker is ready yet to rise up. They know your Western armies could not, in all realism, come to their support without the risk of a third world war, a nuclear war. We have chosen, therefore, to limit our objectives, to try instead to reduce the Russian control bit by bit, as for instance in Poland. Even this limited control has its dangers and also its heroes.
And so you see, ladies and gentlemen, even while conducting a crisis economy, West Berlin has now its lowest unemployment in history. As to productivity, we are today the chief industrial city of Germany, making $2.25 billion worth of goods a year, filling orders from all over the world. This not only represents an enormous gain over the pre-Hitler era, but also a level of technical progress, along with the rise of a standard of living that East Germany cannot even dream of matching. This not only represents...
Was wünschen Sie, meine Herren?
Ich bleibe nur einen Moment.
Leider nur Journalist. Oh, jawohl. Wo Sie wollen, mein Herr.
I refer not merely to the cold statistics of an economist report, but to the actualities of daily living, but also a level of technical progress, along with the rise of a standard of living...
Hello. How nice to see you again. Lizzie, let's get out of here.
Bart, please, I want to get there.
No, look, we'll get a full transcript of this later on.
Bart, please.
Look, now, come on, forget the gang interview. I'll show you the real story of Berlin. Come on.
Constant and increasing deterioration in the whole economic structure, and the consequent series of setbacks for the working class, nearly to the cold statistics of an economist report.
Kleines Brauhaus. This is one place that never changed. I used to come here during the time of the Kaiser, the Weimar Republic, Hitler, and now. All those human corks.
Those what?
Corks. It's the Germans' own word for that type. The corks that rise to the surface in any sea. There's only one thing can sink them. Their own stomachs. Oh, I know them all. How often during the days of Hitler I used to come here and watch them stepping in, throwing the Nazi salute. I wanted to yell, I wanted to throw a punch. But always I had to go on. Heil Hitler. I had to think of the trouble I could cause my friends. Those good Germans.
You had to think of her.
No. Sabina never came here, if that's what you mean. This was never her territory. Okay, now.
Okay.
To talk about you.
Berlin was the subject.
Oh, but Berlin can wait. Lizzie, why aren't you married? At your age?
I love your delicate approach.
Well, it just seems to me that a girl with your looks, your brains, your, etc. How does it happen that you aren't Mrs. Somebody with a half a dozen clamoring kids?
Because I'm a dope.
Many men must have asked you.
Well, not the ones I wanted to ask me. They always turned out to be roving correspondents. Here today, but gone tomorrow. The Huckleberry Thins. The Charm Boys. With a raft built only for one.
I hope you're not including me in that category.
Well, I know them all so well by now. Sitting in the right little bars all over the world.
Lizzie.
weeping into their absinthe or their Strego or their Slivovitz, for the girl they left behind, until in their heartbreaking grief, they latch on to the next one, the next great love, the next temporary wife, just long enough until they move on again.
Lizzie, believe me.
I know. This is different.
For the first time in my life, I want a home.
Well, I'm sure you know where to find it. I'm sure Sabina still waits for you with a candle in the window. I'm sorry, Bart. It's just that I've had my share of roving correspondence. So goodbye, all you temporary men.
Where are you going?
Oh, let's go back to work, Bart. Back to the life of reason.
All right. Let me settle the check. Hello.
Helen, do you care to join me? What is this? Why these Gestapo tactics? You dare talk about the Gestapo? Are you here to make yourself famous again? Hella, you are wrong. I tell you, you are wrong all the way. Now, either you stop this sick game of yours or I'll... Yes, what will you do? Write yourself another book? Hand me over this time to the communists. Lizzie, please!
I'm a keeper of the past, you might say. These are all captured files of the Nazi secret police, the Gestapo. Records they kept on anybody opposed to Hitler. For example, Dr. Karl Gross, professor of philosophy at the University of Berlin.
His crime?
Report to the Gestapo dated 9 February 1936. With increasing frequency, I observe that Professor Gross neglects to give the Hitler salute to his visitors. Also, at approximately 10 o'clock this morning, I saw him lend a book by the Jewish philosopher Spinoza to a student. Who wrote that denunciation? The professor's own secretary.
With what result?
The professor died 4 days later while under questioning by the Gestapo. This room was full of such cases. Some of them still not closed.
Oh? In what way?
Now, we still get queries almost every day, sometimes about people very high in the New Germany. This is the mayor of an important city, considered to have been a real anti-Nazi.
And?
In here, he shows up to be one of the Gestapo's busiest informers, who sent at least 10 of his own friends to the gallows. He won't be mayor anymore. I don't know if this exactly makes a newspaper feature.
Oh, I could do a whole series just on this room. Germany's conscience, gallery of ghosts. Could you give me about a dozen of these files?
Let's discuss it at dinner, if I haven't ruined your appetite.
Oh, that's all right. That's what they pay me for. By the way...
Yes?
Well, I don't know if this is in your department or not, but would you know a German editor named Heller?
Heinz Heller? He comes here often. It's a specialty of his to hunt down hidden Nazis.
Oh. Well, in that case...
You'd like to meet him?
Well, as professional courtesy, could I meet and talk with him just to help me fill out the series?
It's too late now probably to get him in his office, but I think I can set it up.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'd be very grateful. Well, good night, Captain, and thank you so much. It was a delicious dinner.
My pleasure. Good night.
Good night.
Well, well.
Hello, Bart. Why the frown?
Well, if you must go khaki-wacky, why do you throw yourself away on a mere captain?
You've been spying on me.
Miss Hawkins?
Yes?
A gentleman left this message for you early this evening.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Oh, don't mind me. Bart is such a lucky man. Always to have a lovely defender.
A defender? Well, you must know why I'm here. Captain Fenton must have told you.
I know our old friend Bart. You're here to find out why I'm haunting him. Or did he actually bring himself to tell you?
I'm here because I plan to do a series on all these submerged Nazis.
Miss Hogan, stop pretending.
All right. Why are you haunting him?
It's a rather complicated story. Not entirely fit to print.
I find that hard to believe.
What a pity. To waste all that shining faith in such a poor cause.
I know Bart's writings. Their courage and their sensitivity. With just one book, he woke up my country to the real horror of Hitler.
But not, of course, to the real horror of Bartley King.
Now, just what does that mean? Mr. Hiller, I want to know.
Let me picture him as I first met him. Right here in Berlin. In the late 30s. Fine looking in that shining way of a young American. So eager to get the whole truth about Hitler's Germany in 1 minute.
A fault of the very young.
So eager to make himself famous in the same 60 seconds. At the time, I myself was working in the propaganda factory of our famous Dr. Goebbels.
Oh? Not enjoying it, I hope.
Make no mistake. I was there on orders of the anti-Nazi underground.
I'm sorry.
Over the years, I leaked quite a few of the doctor's most disgusting secrets to the foreign reporters, including Bartley King. In fact, I came to trust him so completely, I even introduced him to some of my closest friends. The Engel Circle, we called ourselves.
Engel?
We all held high positions in Hitler's regime, and were all working against him. In time, we even began to use Bart for certain delicate tasks. To carry secret messages, for instance.
At the risk of his head?
One thing was made clear from the start. Among us, he was to forget he was a newspaper man. The Engel Circle was to remain absolutely off the record.
I'm sure he honored that agreement.
Yes, while he was in Germany. But once America came into the war, once he left Germany, he couldn't resist the temptation to break the big story.
You're talking about his book?
Big exclusive one with a big byline. Everything he had learned from us, 100 secrets, all went into the book.
But he disguised it all. Absolutely beyond recognition, he told me every single name in that book was altered.
And did he also tell you that the moment the book was published, the Gestapo got copies from abroad and used it as a death list?
But how could they if all the names were changed?
Here. Colonel Wagner, Professor Richter, Dr. Frieda Sorel. I distinctly asked you not to...
The lady is outside. You expected for lunch.
My apologies. Just 2 minutes. Robert Sharp, Erich von Engel. In a matter of weeks, all were under arrest. Not one lived to see the Third Reich fall. I myself managed to escape. For 2 years, I lived in a hole under the floor. A stinking animal. And all because Bartley King couldn't refrain from telling the inside story. Now, what do you think of your courageous, sensitive reporter?
I would say that such a man should be arrested and brought to trial. If Bart is all you say he is, why didn't you do that?
Why? Because his crime, unfortunately, lies outside the law. Because the only place where he can be punished is inside his own conscience. When the war was over and he came back here, he stayed exactly 5 days. Has he told you why? Because wherever he went, I made it a point to confront him, to prosecute him in the court of his own conscience. And I will never stop.